Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and if you've been following my channel, you know that I really do not like laugh tracks. I don't see the point of them, I find them to be incredibly phony, they are often placed very frequently in a lot of these kids shows, and it's just patronizing to see them continue to use this method of subtly influencing people to laugh at what is usually a pretty lame joke, or no joke at all if the laugh track people are particularly laugh track happy. Recently, I came across a pretty interesting blog post where someone who works in the television industry describes why laugh tracks exist and somewhat defends them. I found the post pretty interesting and I wanted to share it with you guys. There's a link in the description to the full post, and I will recap some of it here and discuss a little bit how I feel about this person's opinion on laugh tracks. When you hear people talk about laugh tracks, it's usually a negative comment. Some people feel they're dumb or cheesy or insulting or all of the above. Okay, before we talk about laugh tracks, first we should discuss the difference between a multi-camera TV show and a single-camera TV show. Today, when you hear the term multi-camera about a TV show, it usually refers to a half-hour situational comedy, a sitcom. The multi-camera sitcom format started with I Love Lucy. Before then, most TV comedies had been shot just like movies, called single camera. They decided to film I Love Lucy like a play in front of a live audience. They felt that this would give the show more of a fun, energetic live theater feel. And by hearing the laughs, the home audience would feel more like they were sitting in the actual studio audience watching the play and could laugh along with everybody else. Today, multi-camera shows are shot pretty much the same exact way. The only major difference is that now, 4 cameras are used instead of 3. Some examples of modern multi-camera sitcoms are Friends, Seinfeld, The Big Bang Theory, Drake and Josh, iCarly, etc. With all these shows, you can hear laughs following the jokes. A single-camera TV show is shot like a movie. There's no live theater feel at all. You never hear an audience. For example, Entourage, The Office, Sex and the City, Malcolm in the Middle, The Wonder Years, and even though half-hour single-camera shows are often comedy, you will never hear a laugh track because they aren't intended to feel like they're shot in front of a live audience as multi-camera shows are. Back in the 60s and 70s, they did make single-camera comedies where you could hear a laugh track. I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, Gilligan's Island, The Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, Hogan's Heroes, Get Smart. All of those shows did have laugh tracks, which, in most people's opinions, sounded fake and cheesy. But now, you'll almost never see a single-camera sitcom with a laugh track. It's considered outdated. So this is the first thing that I wanted to comment on, and it's actually very interesting. I've never really thought about it, but it's true. Pretty much every single show within the past few decades that has a laugh track has been a multi-camera sitcom that is presumably filmed live in front of people. And this is where I begin to understand the argument for the laugh track. If these shows are shot as if you are there in the audience watching a play, it would only seem natural to have the laughter there, as that's what you would be getting if you actually went to see a comedy play. I'm still not in support of laugh tracks, and I'll get to why later on, but I think this is an interesting point that I've really never seen made before. A lot of people seem to think the laughs they're hearing are always laugh tracks, created by a machine. That's only partially true. In the tradition of I Love Lucy, most multi-camera comedies are filmed in front of a live studio audience. Real, living, breathing people who came to watch a comedy and laugh out loud. So during the filming, the audience laughs at the jokes. So later, when you're watching the show at home on your television, many of the laughs you're hearing are real, coming from the actual live audience that was there watching the show as it was filmed. When you're making a multi-camera comedy shot in front of a live audience, sometimes you might do many takes of a scene. When an audience sees the same scene 4 times or more, they're probably not going to laugh as hard, or the same way as they did during take 1. Also, sometimes you don't shoot the whole show in front of the live audience. If you're doing a scene that's complicated, like one that requires stunts or special effects, you might have to pre-shoot that scene where there is no audience present to laugh. Later, when the show is assembled in post-production, a machine is used to make the laughs sound consistent and complete from the beginning of the show to the end. This machine is what people often refer to as the laugh track. Another very important element is the skill level of the laugh guy, the man or woman who operates the machine. Some are more skilled than others in making the laughs sound real. At Schneider's Bakery, we've tried several of them over the years. And now, we only use one person for all our shows. We think he's the best by far. If the laugh guy is skilled enough and is guided properly by a show's producer, the home audience should not be able to tell the difference between real audience laughter and the machine-generated laughter. By the way, even machine-generated laughter is real. It's a recording of real humans sitting in an audience laughing. So technically, there's no such thing as fake laughs. Granted, some producers overuse the machine-generated laughs. I do my best to avoid that. When I'm mixing the audio for a show, I'll often say say, no, don't put that laughter there, or wait, that laugh is too big. Let's use a smaller laugh here. Because you can definitely overlaugh a show. I don't want to name names, but some sitcoms are definitely overlaughed. Okay, so at this point, I definitely need to make it clear that this post was made in 2009, and I should probably also make it clear, if it wasn't already, that this is a post written by Dan Schneider, the guy behind all of those Schneider's Bakery shows that I constantly rip on. So basically, the argument in favor of the laugh track is that it was put there not to manipulate people, but to provide home audiences with the same feeling they would get as if they were watching the comedy be done live and in front of them, and that almost all the laughs you hear on the show are derived from actual people that actually did laugh at what they were seeing. It's just that some things need to be faked a little bit because some scenes aren't shot in front of a studio audience, and most scenes require multiple takes, which may not get the same kind of laugh as they did on the first take. So here's my counter argument to this. First of all, the fact that they are basing some things on the way people view plays and other live comedy seems to be a bit strange considering television is way more popular and seen by way more people. It seems like the argument in that sense is, well, it's always been done this way, so we're just gonna keep doing it this way. Which, I can definitely understand why people might feel like that, but at the same time, tradition definitely shouldn't be the only reason you continue to do something, especially something that can have a major impact on the product that you're putting out. And secondly, although he does say that the laughs are based on real people laughing at something, the second you start adding fake laughter, and when we say fake laughter, no, we don't mean laughs that were literally generated by a computer, we mean fake laughter as in that was not a natural laugh caused by someone responding to that thing that's on the screen right there. Your credibility just becomes zero. I don't know that people actually genuinely laughed at the things that you say they laughed at. You faked some of it, so how do I know you're not faking all of it? I've heard enough laugh tracks to recognize the same laugh patterns over and over again. Even if it is just spicing up the laughter, so to speak, there is definitely a lot of fake laughter going around in these laugh tracks. I do appreciate that he acknowledged that shows can be overlaughed, but at the same time, this is the guy that's in charge of whoever is making the laugh tracks happen for iCarly, Drake and Josh, Sam and Cat, Game Shakers, and Henry Danger. Granted, this was written in 2009, back when they definitely weren't quite as bad with the laugh track as they are now, but still, Drake and Josh and iCarly lean pretty heavily on the laugh track. If he doesn't think that that's overdoing it, I would hate to see the shows that he considers to be bad with the laugh tracks. And thirdly, and here's the big thing, none of any of this explanation really counteracts the fact that people feel that these laugh tracks are cheesy and manipulative and forced. Even if we assume that Dan had the purest of intentions and was only inserting laugh tracks just because he felt like it was genuinely what was best for the show and his creative decision or whatever, there is still the side effect of it subtly influencing people to like the show more and artificially laugh more at it. Even if it wasn't the intention, it still feels patronizing. It still feels like you're trying to tell me when I should laugh. And a lot of people have caught on to this. Though let's be honest here, in all likelihood, producers and bigwigs at these networks are very aware of what a laugh track can do for its audience, regarding positive reception of a show. Of course they know it, and of course they're gonna milk it for all it's worth. Dan concludes with this. When you hear someone say, man, I don't like hearing the laughs, I wish they'd just get rid of them, that's silly for a multi-camera show. That would be like going to a comedy play, sitting in the audience with lots of people, and never hearing anyone laugh. It'd be weird. It makes complete sense to hear an audience laugh when the show is shot in front of, or as if in front of, a live studio audience. What kind of defense is this, Dan? I'm watching a TV show, not literally watching a play. I don't care if it's stylized after plays. That doesn't mean literally everything is the same. Yes, it does make a little bit of sense, but not enough to base your entire argument on. It'd be like saying I should be able to see an orchestra and a stage and curtains in every sitcom I watch, because when you go to see a play, you can actually see the stage and the orchestra and all that. Why can't I see that on the TV? They should shove people's heads in front of the camera to obstruct my view as if I was actually sitting behind them. And then you should have baby crying sound effects be playing because hey, that's authentic to the theater experience. And yeah, it's entirely possible to go see a comedic play with a whole bunch of people and not hear anyone laugh. That happens when what you're watching isn't funny. While yes, it does make some sense if you're emulating a play to have the laugh track there, this is not an argument for why the laugh track is needed, and this does not address the fact that some people find them cheesy and outdated. Earlier in this article, he talks about how having a laugh track on a single camera sitcom is cheesy and weird, and audiences didn't like it. And that's how some audiences today feel towards laugh tracks that happen on 4-camera sitcoms. Just because it's kinda sorta like a play doesn't mean it has to have the laugh track there. Arguing that it would be weird to not have it just seems completely baseless. What is he basing that on? If you edited out the laughs of a show like iCarly, yes, it would be weird, but that's only because the actors explicitly pause to save room for the laugh track. If you didn't have the actors pause, most likely it wouldn't be weird. Though, let's be real, the biggest problem with laugh tracks is something that Dan identified here, that laugh track people use it way too much. Honestly, if it was saved for only really funny jokes, I probably wouldn't mind it anywhere near as much as I mind it now. But off the top of my head, I really can't think of any show that actually uses restraint when it comes to the laugh track. All in all, it seems like this article completely sidestepped why people have problems with laugh tracks, and instead gives a lesson on why laugh tracks were created like 50 years ago, and explains why people liked them and they were used back then, but it really doesn't do anything to justify why it's still used in the modern era. This article was interesting, and I definitely did learn something here. And while I can totally understand why sitcoms used the laugh track back in the day, nothing has changed in terms of my opinion on current laugh tracks. What did you guys think? PIEGUYRULZ, out.